Yes. No, we're
All
live.
right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to I think it's episode 3 now of Between Wildcard and Dark Horse. As always, I am Everyday. With me, as usual, is Yulwei, and coming on the show for technically the second time, but first time since we've started calling it this,
Yep.
is Vinny. How
Hey.
are we tonight, guys?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a little bit of a rough day to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Man, quality of games was not too great, and the results were even worse. So, still a bit salty about yesterday.
The reason my day's good is nothing to do with the games yesterday.
Oh, man.
Well, it has to do with one of them, but...
Yeah. Well, obviously, we can begin. Just sort of talk. I think we should just talk about, what's been the things that have stood out for you, not necessarily just in the Southeast Asian / Vietnamese context, just in general. What are some things that have popped out in so far at Worlds? Yulwei, if you want to start us off.
So I think the biggest takeaway from week 1 is teams really want to lose games through draft. So many teams draft almost unwinnable compositions and put themselves in such a bad spot heading into the game. Biggest example are the 2 of the C9 games against HKA and yesterday against Griffin. Both drafts were horrible. Then we have Gum multiple times as well on this list. We have what was the Splice draft against J Team? Not sure if that's no, I think that was fine. That was fine. But yeah, Fnatic drafting weird shit. I'm not too sure what Fnatic is doing. And
yeah, they're not.
I mean that's I think my biggest takeaway. Draft is really a really big part of this Worlds. Big determining factor in who gets the win in the end. If you're not called HKA, that is.
The biggest surprise for me is Reckless's favorite champion is one of the most OP champions in the game right now. It has never been banned against Fnatic, and he hasn't played it. Pick Tristana.
Yeah.
You're a god on that pick. On that one pick. You're the best AD carry in the world. Pick it!
Fnatic is frustrating to watch.
I'm so upset by Fnatic.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopes. They're getting punished as well, right? Like, they've lost 2 games. In their group, that's really bad.
That is really bad.
Like, it potentially will just mean they go out third, and it's just because they're doing these mage picks bot. You don't have to. Every other team in the world is sticking a second marksman in mid lane, and you're like, nah, no marksman.
I'm not sure I agree with that, I have to say. I think their Garen Yumi drafts were fine, but their execution was a little bit strange. And especially topside in the first 2 games was underperforming heavily. Then Ripper finally stepped up and they drafted Morgana bot lane and no damage into a Ryze composition, who could just out damage all of the enemy team just by pressing E and Q. It was a little bit. Yesterday's draft was not the greatest for Fnatic, I'd say, but yeah.
Yeah, I did not like the Morgana Blitzcrank bot. I think I can't remember who said it. It was on Twitter. It might have been LS saying that the Pike ban, lost Fnatic the game.
Yeah,
it was obviously meant to be a Pike instead of Blitzcrank.
Absolutely, I think that's a very good read.
That would have been the execute damage that you need.
I think had either Buepo or Brox, if Broxa had played like a Karthus or something,
they needed more damage. They needed more damage.
Yeah,
they needed a top lane carry.
Yeah,
or maybe a jungle carry,
or a Pike.
I think a jungle carry would have been better.
The Shen, I mean, I don't think the Shen made a huge amount of sense. Like, I think the idea of the comp was we're just going to put as much stuff on Kayle as we can.
Yeah,
I think this comp is very strong in mid-game team fights. but not against Rice. The real problem, in my opinion, was the Rice. But the Rice is the perfect pick into
But
KO.
Rice is like not worth a ban, so you can't really.
I don't think they anticipated the Rice, but the Rice is actually a super
No.
great read into the KL because he can beat her in lane and then out damage her in team fights anyway. So if you pick Kale, you think, okay, we'll out damage anything in the 1v1 later on, and then they pick Rice, and suddenly that's
Can
not
be
true
KL
anymore.
Unless you're called Kia.
Yeah.
Or am I getting
Kia.
ahead of myself?
Yikes.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless you have anything else that really jumped out at you, we can kind of move on to more just talking about the meta in general, because I think it hasn't been the meta we expected. Mage bots aren't dominating. They're present, they're not terrible, but they're not dominating. It's not that fast.
People aren't picking strong things. That's what I've realized.
That too.
You've got Syndra and Pantheon on the ban list, obviously.
Kiana.
Tristana gets picked up most of the time. Or banned most of the time. But other than those three, and then your Xayah and Kai'Sa, it's sort of just whatever people feel like playing. And there are notably really strong picks. Like Heimerdinger has one game.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's very
sneaky. And
confusing.
Yeah,
I think there are a lot of options, and most teams go with comfort most of the time. I think we'll see the meta spread out a little bit more for quarterfinals when 1 week of a 1 week break comes in, and all the teams try to prepare more strategies. And maybe even for week 2 already. I could imagine Fnatic coming in with a lot of new strategies to get the win, especially over RNG, because they need that one really badly.
Fnatic will probably just go back to standard.
Yeah, maybe. But
I
wanted to talk.
They might try Garen Yuumi again, but
I think
a better top side. But
yeah, 2 specific champion things I want to talk about is top lane meta that has evolved in a very funny way, because coming into Worlds, everyone was hyping up GP as the strongest top laner, and then counterpick to GP obviously is the Vladimir, and now we have Vladimir blind picks, and suddenly NA teams came up with the Aatrox counterpick. So now for some reason Aatrox is back into the in the meta, even though he's nerfed heavily, only as a Vladimir counterpick. It's so funny.
He will never die. They removed his revive on the Rift, and he got it in real life. He's never going to die.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and it has worked out against every top laner so far they played it against. It seems to be a very strong matchup.
It's been really good into Vladimir.
I mean, he's still good in teamfight.
Of course.
And Vlad, the big thing that he lost was his wave clear, but you're against a Vlad.
Yeah.
Vlad doesn't wave clear, not in lane at least. He does later on.
Especially not early on. And then the second thing I wanted to touch on is the Sonar into Garen Yuumi. I really wanted to see that one, because I thought this could actually be a strategy that works out against Garen Yuumi. Just pick Sonar Taric. I was super confused that they didn't go with a Taric. I was like, why would you go Tahm Kench into Garen Yuumi? You could freely scale with a Taric. Taric is better in the late game.
I would put it down to the fact that towards the end of Sonar's dominance, Taric wasn't being really picked. But there was a reason for that, right? I know the reason, but like it was for lane priority. And stuff.
Yeah.
But because of that, I would say it's more. Zazel's like Taric or Tahm Kench. I'm far more comfortable on Tahm Kench. I haven't played Taric in months. Tahm Kench, I haven't played in months, but he's also press W on your carry. You're done.
Yeah. But I think that actually lost them a lot of teamfight prowess.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest of the comp was a mess, so the comp was bad anyway, but...
I mean,
Corki was open. Pick Corki, not Zoe.
Let's not talk about a C9's draft.
Corki's still good.
We did see SKT
Mission pick Corki.
bring out the bot lane Kale as a counter to the Garen.
Yeah, another super interesting adaptation.
Free scaling. I thought that was really smart. I think that's actually a really good pick against it.
Way to go.
And the lane swap from Loki was a good adaptation as well, because Garen Yumi can't punish the lane swap. So I think those are probably the premier counter strategies. That's why I was in love with HKA's draft, where they drafted the Garen Yumi as a second rotation draft. So they waited for the bot lane to be confirmed on the side of C9 and then went with Garen Yumi, which is a super strong strategy. I want to see more teams use, because I think that's probably the best part of the draft to pick Garen Yumi in.
Yeah, it's no longer a first rotation thing. I think you grab it second phase and away you go.
Yep. I mean, something that also to comment on is the difference in priority of Renekton between players and now. He was a first pick nearly every, maybe not every game, but he was first pick a lot in the play-in. And he's got 7 games, so he's still being played. But he's not first pick, first ban.
No, there's been a huge variety in top lane, actually. Way more than I was expecting.
Yeah, mid lane's the only role with more variety.
Yeah.
Renekton's in a weird state. I'm still not sure how to think about Renekton.
He's got a good win rate.
Yeah.
So far.
He seems to be better in the later game than he was previously. He seems to actually hold up in terms of late game scaling to most of the other top lane picks, which is interesting because usually we saw. Yeah, absolutely. And he actually hard outscales things like Rumble now. Rumble can't hold a candle to him in terms of scaling, which is super weird.
I don't actually know really why Rumble got picked up again.
Nah, he's shit. He's shit. Rumble is such a trap pick.
He wasn't I mean, it's really only been Huni and I guess Civ played him.
Yeah, those two players. And they won 0 games combined, so great pick.
And it's comfort. Hey, AHQ won the moral victory.
Yeah, that's true. They should have won that game.
That was the only game I wish Impact actually lived up to his reputation of being just a safe tank player. Why did Impact have to win that game for them?
I mean, the thing is, the thing with Huni especially, and look, I'm sure Huni's a nice guy, but I've been very critical about it because I think he's overrated.
Yeah.
If Clutch wants to buy into their own hype and be like, "Ooh, you didn't ban Rumble against us. We're gonna first pick it." Go ahead.
Yeah.
Lose the game because you're not in NA anymore, mate. You don't outskill these people, and you pick the shit champ.
I'm really not in love with the Rumble. Rumble and LeBlanc are my 2 trap picks for this.
What about Kennen?
Oh, Kennen.
You say LeBlanc's a trap pick.
She has a good win rate because all the good teams play LeBlanc into bad teams, but she's not good. She's not good.
I think it was more you've been twisted by groups play-ins. Where it was just bad teams.
I mean, yeah, if you're super good on LeBlanc, you can still execute her. But it's such you deliberately pick yourself into such a small win condition with LeBlanc. You really have to get going early. And I mean, the champ is strong early, but if you fail at that part of the game, you just lose. I don't really understand why you would go for LeBlanc.
The real trap pick, who across 3 roles, not just 2 roles, is 0% win rate. Lucian.
He sucks. Lucian sucks.
Lucian bot lane sucks, I think.
Especially.
Lucian mid lane is not doing too hot.
Lucian mid lane is the same champion as LeBlanc, in my opinion.
AD LeBlanc.
Yeah, he's AD LeBlanc. He stomps lane and needs to get ahead early. If not, he's useless. But I think mid lane Lucian is playable. Bot lane Lucian is just shit.
But if you're going to just try and stomp lane, especially this is particularly bot lane, just pick Draven.
Yeah.
He's in the game. He stomps harder and he does more later on.
Syndra.
Yeah, or Syndra. But
actually, that's
you want to mark, right?
That's something that's kind of interesting. Syndra has a really bad win rate right now.
People are playing.
I know it's the people who are playing it, but you'd think she'd do something.
I mean, most of the time
one win. She has one win.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's
And it was
good.
Caps. And it was Caps against Hong Kong Attitude.
Wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
wow.
That's so she's got no wins.
Yeah. To
That matter. As much as
Yeah.
HK. But,
It lost to LeBlanc, and I'm just saying.
yeah. Oh, come on. The execution on who was that? It was Humanoid, right?
It was
Humanoid into
Humanoid.
holy. That was the worst Syndra I've ever seen. He missed every E on LeBlanc. Syndra into LeBlanc is not that hard to play. Come on.
he comes at you in straight line.
My God, he was so bad on the pick. It was insane.
All right.
We should probably
unless
move on.
Yeah, unless there's any other blinding meta discussion that think of.
Not really a meta pick, but Poppy support, my favorite.
Yeah.
Poppy support
all.
shouldn't be getting played. That's something we can
that's-
talk. Something we can definitely talk about because we are going to talk about drafts. And I think there's
Yeah.
a few drafts that she should have been. But let's hone in a little bit more on what we, as a trio, typically focus on a bit more. Group B.
Yes.
It has J Team.
I'm very
It has
happy.
Gar. So it has J Team.
I'm very happy.
If you
It
look
has
at
Gar.
it has J Team, and it has Gar.
Super happy by J-Team's performance.
Let's just think about just the overview. Obviously, JT beat FPX.
Yes.
And they lost
Who
to Gum.
predicted that?
Lost to go.
Winnie, did you predict that
I
one?
mean,
Were you confident in J Team?
No, I did not predict that one. I was in my pick'ems I had them leaving the group as second, but that was blind optimism.
yeah, I mean,
I
I did the
thought-
same.
I thought FPX would handle them really easily. I thought GAM had the stylistic matchup, so
They won.
they would, and they won. Yeah.
And then,
And then it depended who was going to get in the. Oh, I guess Pick'ems came after Group Draw. And it was Splice. I thought it could really go either way, but I'd favor J Team because I think their solo laners are better, and I don't rate Kobe very highly.
Fair.
I mean, Kobe's good, but Little V's just as good, and Koala's better than Norskaren.
That's not
I-
that's not hard.
that is not a high bar.
But I mean, then Xerxes better than Hana, but also up top you've got Rest, who's better than Vizicachi. So
Oh,
overall,
Vizicachi is actually performing like the best player on
Vizicachi is
Splice.
performing. He's performing really well. But yeah, I thought across the board, J-Team was stronger, and then it would just come down to coaching, which I would have put in Splice's advantage. Because all the good LMS coaches are in China right now.
Well, I mean, that's a standard plague of the minor region. You can't get
Yeah.
good coaches because you can't pay them.
Yeah.
Well, I think LMS actually
Um,
has good drafting, especially HKA, but their drafting is
Yeah,
not looking too bad.
Yeah, no, the drafting, I think the LMS overall has the best grasp on it.
Oh, HQ
except
is
for-
HQ. You have to leave out HQ because their drafts are.
I can't really think of many HQ drafts off the top of my head.
Rumble, and Rumble. It's a
They
lot of
played-
Rumble over there.
Okay, yeah, Ziv's a bit of a shaky one, but we knew that.
We knew
But-
that going in.
Other than that, other than Ziv having a limited champion pool, and it's not like his Rumble was terrible. Like, it almost won them against Team Liquid, but though Rainbow kind of was the factor of that.
Yeah, so where did Rainbow come from?
So Rainbow was their mid laner in spring. Then he disappeared off the face of the earth for summer.
And now he's
Then,
back.
and now he's back, and Apex is warming the bench.
All right, fair enough.
So,
Cop it, Apex.
I guess Rainbow's doing better in scrims or something.
Maybe
Why?
someone's sick.
He's Korean, right?
That's what I always.
He's Korean. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a one random English word as his name. Of course he's.
That's actually a pretty good indicator, to be honest.
I mean, Maple.
Okay,
Maple
fair.
Maple's
Not exclusively
Slay.
Korean, but- I mean, okay, he's Asian. All of the Asian players will either have something in their own language, which obviously makes sense, or just a random English word.
Well, random English words are very, very common with Korean players, definitely.
Yeah. And then you have some Korean players who just steal other Korean players' names. The Shy.
That's very true.
Stealing the name of my favorite top laner of all.
When I first heard about The Shy, because I took an 8-month-long break from League, I didn't pay attention to it, I didn't play it. I came back, it's like, got to check out who's good. It's like, wow, people are saying The Shy is the best player in the world. Wonder why they're calling him The. Shy's really good.
Yep.
And then I realized it was two different people.
For a moment, I thought it was Theshy. Because, The Shy is just weird.
Yeah,
it is
It's the same way as Reckless should be pronounced Reckles.
Reckles.
It should be
the way it's spelled. But...
And it should be Hahasic.
Ahahasic.
Yeah, he's having a giggle.
Anyway.
Moving on. Unless you have something else to put in about the overview of Group B. Obviously, it's looking pretty dire for Gum. I don't have many hopes.
I think it's going to be very different next week. I think J-Team kind of got lucky.
They got lucky. Holy moly.
I mean, but by being the first game.
Yeah.
I agree with
that. Absolutely.
I think if say Garm had been the first game, Garm would have gotten the pickup and whoa, Garm's beaten FPS.
Yeah.
And then Garm just gets blown out.
I mean, Splice should have beat FBX in the second day as well.
To be fair,
they won the game for 30 minutes straight and then just threw it all away at Baron. It was such a disappointing game to watch. My God. Fuck Splice.
That FBX
Sorry,
draft
Jensen.
that I'm looking at is the one against JT. That draft is terrible.
Splice?
Doinby on Sion.
Okay. Yeah, that one.
For FBX against JT.
Oh, yeah.
Doinby on Sion, then pick 2 AP for the rest of the top side.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. The bot lane is questionable. I don't think Galio is good. I don't know why he's back. I think mid lane Galio is a lot better than support.
I'd debate that, but not here.
We can discuss it. I think he's better. I don't think he's good. And then LWX played Kai'Sa like they were a suicide.
Yeah, so...
And did he have a Cogmore passive?
My stance on this draft is it's not that surprising for FPX to draft this way. They like to draft tanky, roaming champions for Doinby a lot. He's famous for his tanky Rice build, right? Where he roams all the time and engages team fights. So the sign fits his wheelhouse. Then you have all the X in the LWX basket, but he just underperformed. So I think this is not that bad of a draft for FPX. Definitely not the best they could have hoped for. But the play was bad. The Mordekaiser was played towards, which is why would you snowball the Mordekaiser in this draft? It's so useless to have a fat Mordekaiser in this draft. Yeah, it's so insanely useless. Oh my God, he got 1 or 2 kills in the early game and then didn't do anything for the rest of the game. Because how is Mordekaiser ever? He's a super great champ as its weak side top laner, but you ignore him for the rest of the game. You just ignore him. He equalizes top lane matchup, and you ignore him, and then he's a great champion.
Only gank if there's.
You don't gank Mordekaiser, please.
No, if you're already up top and there's a blatant, I can just walk in, throw a cocoon.
Yeah, okay. If it's a free kill, obviously, why not?
That's the level of your gank. You don't sit in the bush for 10 minutes, go, I'm gonna get him.
Literally, if you have to commit a sweeper, don't gank a Mordekaiser. Commit nothing, because he doesn't need it. he's the best. You can't gank him
Yeah.
once he's 6 because it's like, oh, this level 4 jungler is coming at me. Let's take a trip. I'll show you the wild side.
And
And like,
Come into my room.
I think there are drafts where you can play through Mordekaiser, but this is not one of them. You can't ever hope that the Mordekaiser is able to 1v1 kill the Gnar in the side lane later in the game. He just can't. It's impossible for Mordekaiser to do that. So what is Mordekaiser going to achieve in this game, even if he has 2 kills? He's just sitting in the side lane, pushing his wave. Gnar counter pushes the wave. Nothing ever happens between the two of them. So you actually need gold on your actual carry, who's the LWX. So yeah, I think their approach to the game was just wrong from FPX, and then their bot lane just underperformed as well. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
J-Team
But, I
played
think that
great
the-
in team fights, but I think their fundamentals actually looked very weak in this game. Their play around Dragon was... Why did they give up so many dragons? This was confusing to me. And they got away with the game
has
because...
been very passive.
Yeah.
And I think that's just
it's the LMS, right?
not so much just the elements, because like HKA, like they've lost every game obviously, but that's mostly due to Mission severely underperforming and 3Z's not being amazing. But like the trio of Crash, Kaiwing, and Unified has been doing alright.
Yeah.
And
I'd
like
agree.
in their game against G2, they were pretty proactive. The biggest problem was just, I mean, it's G2. They just turned on at some point. It was like, oh, we're winning now, and we have a Syndra who is 4-0, and goodbye.
Can't land any skill shots.
So, sorry,
but-
continue.
But so it's not an LMS thing. It's a J-Team thing.
Okay.
Where it does come from, the LMS, though, is I think the level of players, right?
Yeah.
I think top lane, for the most part, there were 2 players who could stand up to rest, and they were Ziv, and then he fell off at the end of the split, and then there was Rock, who got subbed out at the halfway through the split for Liang, who fit Mad Team's needs better, I guess. I didn't think so.
Right.
But when I won't go into that because
Yeah.
you don't know who the fuck they
We
are.
don't quite have time for that, but it is
No.
a good topic.
No, you don't know who they are anyway. But
Exactly.
so like Rest was taking over. Fofo was basically unmatched.
Yeah.
The only mid laner I think who could come close was Saipi, who had the worst top laner, and overall their team had no synergy. So
So J-Team
No,
just
no
won
chance.
through individual.
J-Team just won because they were better.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
moving on from that one.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Like I know
Yeah.
you guys could go back and forth for another 20 minutes, but let's talk about Gum versus Splice. So obviously, first game Gum played, and why is Hugh playing?
And why is Levi playing Kha'Zix?
I mean, I think the bigger question is why is Hugh? Like that's just a bad.
Yeah, that was weird.
From
thing.
what the Discord says, there's a bit of drama with a certain coach who I have expressed my distaste before. He shall not be named. But moving on from that,
Charlie.
why
He who
is
lost
Gum-
his identity card? No.
Thus has no name. I get it.
What are we like? This draft was an absolute mess. I don't think there's too much to say about the Splice draft. I know you hate
No,
LeBlanc, but it's a
I
good
love
draft.
the Gam draft is so good until except for the jungler.
Yeah. It's not a bad draft, but
I
then
don't
the
think
jungler
it's
comes
Then
in.
you also but I mean,
And then you
that's
realize
just the draft in
Hugh doesn't have
isolation.
mechanics
That's the
on
draft in
Pike.
isolation. That's the draft in isolation. Players are different. Kiaya is like a bruiser only player.
Oh, is Tristana in the final looked very good.
Strada's good.
So I actually thought Tristana would be fine.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Tristana's a top laner as well, so...
No, she is not. Get out of here.
Like it.
She is not.
But, yeah. But, like, yeah, it's yeah.
The draft is fine until you look at the Kazakhs, and then you realize that I don't think you played Pyke before this game. I think he was reading the tools. What Pyke actually did.
So before the tournament started, we talked a lot about the stylistic matchup between Gum and Splice, right? We thought Gum would play heavily towards topside, as they did the whole season, and we thought Wizardchachi, especially after playing performance, would just crumble under the pressure, and Zeros would get solo kills, and Levi would go top and dive over and over. And then we end up with Akali against Gangplank. And the problem here is, obviously, Zeros' Akali still has looked super good in this tournament, but he had to face Gangplank over and over again, and he's not able to win the lane against Gangplank. And I'm really not a fan of letting this matchup play out for Gum, because they need the top lane advantage in this group, especially against Splice. I think against Splice for the next game, they need to draft a top lane matchup that is more volatile, where Zeros can express his skill, call for Levi, and kill Wizardchachi. Because I think Zeros' mechanics are better than Wizardchachi's. But Wizardchachi is a very good weak side top laner still, and Gangplank is his perfect pick. It's one of his best picks over the course of his whole career, so don't give Wizardchachi Gangplank again. Please, Gum, please.
Yeah. I mean, there's something I want to comment on. Is the bans from Gum. They're awful. Why are you banning Nocturne Olaf?
Yeah, that is
true.
That is true.
Especially if you want to be Kha'Zix, don't ban Olaf.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Like, okay, fine. Ban Xayah because you don't play Xayah Rakan. And she's really strong. Sure. Nocturne Olaf? Like, I've noticed Gum bans Olaf a lot, and I don't get it.
Nocturne I can kind of get.
Yeah.
Xerxes played Nocturne a lot.
I kind of agree with the Nocturne
Maybe you
as well,
don't want to play against it. You're not planning on picking it. Ban it. Fine. Don't ban Olaf after that.
Like, what is it? I don't get it. And then, like, to if you're gonna put two bans into the jungle, ban Gragas.
Or
ban
pick him.
Gragas. He's like or pick it. Yeah, you had first pick. It does my head.
Yeah.
Right?
Levi has not played an AP jungler yet, and he has almost exclusively played AP junglers in Summer Split. It's so confusing to me. This meta read from Gum is probably the biggest reason they are not 2-1 right now.
So you've got 4 jungle bans, right? In the first rotation, in the first round of bans. They've picked their jungler. You should pick your jungler now. You don't leave it, because otherwise they're going to ban our junglers in the next phase. And that's what they did. Lee Sin Rek'Sai. 2 more junglers gone.
But
obviously, Levi could have picked Elise, could have picked Nidalee, could have picked Karthus, could have picked anything. Obviously, something with Engage would have been better. Like, I think if J4 would have been a great pick there.
Yeah.
Try the Echo again. Try the Silas, maybe.
Try the Echo. Yeah, Silas. Silas would have been
Silas
really
jungle
good
is
there.
not great right now, but Kha'Zix?
I think
Is Kha'Zix better? I'm not sure.
It's better than... It's not super strong, but Gragas, it's not weak enough to be super punished.
Yeah.
And then you have all the engage you need. You've got Gragas Barrel, you've got Nordholt. You've got all the engage you want.
Yeah. Yep. You're exactly correct.
A very, very frustrating game to watch.
And I mean, like, we saw they had no engage, and they essentially just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And they lost.
I think there was one roam from Zeros, right? If I remember correctly, where you tried to get the kill in the mid lane, but it didn't really succeed. Kiaya looked a little bit nervous against Humanoid, the 2 worst mid laners in this group by far. He needs to step up the next time they play against each other.
I think we knew Kiaya would probably be the worst mid lane. though.
Oh, I'm not sure. I
Tournament.
still think that after seeing Humanoid's performances,
Yeah,
might be Humanoid because
Yeah, but
Kiaya had one great
I
game and
mean,
two off
look-
games, and Humanoid had one okay game and two very bad games.
yeah, but I think like coming
Very,
into
very
Worlds
bad games.
before play-ins, I would have said Humanoid's better than Kiai.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you
Yeah.
there. But after seeing
play-ins,
3
again,
games,
after seeing this, but yeah, like I guess we knew those two were going to be the bottom.
yeah, that's of course.
Yeah.
It's Fofo and Doinby.
You're not getting.
Yeah. The only way it could be worse if it was Cap's fake.
And that can't happen. So
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah,
really
no.
good time. But anyway, moving on from that game, we are going to have a bit of a gum focus, but thankfully, Vinny,
You're
for you, this is a game that you can comment on because JT's the opponent.
Yep.
And this was the dumbest game ever. Deja vu. I've just been.
I don't know what you're talking about. It was the best macro game in the entire tournament.
yep, according
I
to
agree
LS,
with LS. I agree with him.
That was actually pretty. He's not.
it was not that bad of a
To be
game.
honest.
I was super
don't know.
surprised by
I mean,
all
it
the
was fun.
backlash.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you supposed to do with Nocturne Clad other than just running at them multiple times? The champs literally can't do
Yeah.
anything else. It's impossible to
Yeah,
do anything else.
And
The comp
take-
is just hard engaged.
Yeah, the comp is
That's all it
dumb,
is.
but they have to do what the comp does, right? They can't just
Yeah,
suddenly
and
split push
and
it.
it's like a perfect gun comp.
It's
yeah, it is exactly. It's good.
I disagree slightly because I think the Nocturne is kind of out of. I don't know why
Oh.
Levi is suddenly playing Nocturne. It's strange to me. Maybe he's not confident enough to go for mechanically intensive champions because Nocturne really is not. Nocturne presses R, looks for the right time to engage, and then tethers someone with his E, and that's it. He dies.
I mean, at a like hyper specific level, sure, but over the broad idea of it, it's go ham.
I love
That's
the
the
clad
comp.
mid. I think they should
Just-
pick
yeah.
more clad mid. Kiaya is a great
I
mid lane
agree.
clad.
I hope it's banned next time JT plays against them.
To be fair to
Yeah,
Fofo, he was very close to locking down the kill. 34 HP, I think, was the number. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really fault a Fofo for the solo kill because that was just a
No,
coin flip. It was super close.
Yeah. No. I don't think it's not because of the solo kill.
No.
It's because Kia's clad looks really good.
Yeah. I mean,
And he
you got
looked
that-
way more comfortable in that than anything else he's played so far at Worlds. It really sets up the team. It's the same as like, Gamma's kind of FPX light in a way.
Yep. I said that
And-
before the tournament already.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
top
I mean,
side focus,
I
while
know you guys
FPX
know
had the bot lane focus.
Yeah,
But
I guess
especially mid lane
You guys
is
know,
very
I know
similar.
you guys know that, but just to explain my thoughts,
Yeah.
it's and in FPX it's all about Doinby roaming
Yep.
around. Same thing. Get Kiaya off his easy roaming.
Yeah, Kiaya's baby Doinby. His playstyle is
Yeah.
very similar. A little bit of a different
Yeah.
champion pool compared to Doinby. Not as many AP champs, but
It's-
he
yeah,
likes
it's
the
a more
bruisers.
traditional top lane pool than a
Doinby pool.
then there's less mid laners in his pool, shall we say?
You can say that for sure.
I think, but yeah, no, I think other than the Lucian pick, there's no complaints in the draft.
Yeah,
and
well-
I understand the Lucian reasoning. I do understand it. I just don't like it, especially when Tristan is open.
Yeah, I think Tristan.
I think Tristan is broken.
Jeez,
Completely
I agree.
He is
Yeah,
broken.
but like, I think she's the best champ right now.
Pantheon?
Kiana
I mean,
likes to have a word with you.
what?
Kiana at Pantheon?
Oh, Kiana and Pantheon, I get. Pantheon's not a champion. He's a ban.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I was gonna
Kiana should
say-
be a ban as well.
Kiana, look, okay, yeah, Kiana and Pantheon, I'll give you those. But
But yeah, Tristan.
they're
is
mostly
probably
banned,
first.
so that's probably why they forget about that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I think Tristana should genuinely be one of those champions that has 100% presence.
She absolutely should be.
Because at the moment, it's only Pantheon. Pantheon's been banned every game, because obviously he's completely ridiculous.
He's stupid.
And, yeah, he's been banned every game. Kiana has the second highest presence, but Tristana isn't third, even, I don't think. Pretty ridiculous. I think she should be. Yeah, she's not even close.
She has a 45% presence.
That's ridiculous. She should be so much
higher. No, she should be so much higher.
But focusing back on this game, which Tristana didn't feature in for some reason, I actually, there's been so much backlash to just, Gum smashed their head against the wall and eventually they got through. And, yeah, that is what happened, but they didn't kill Baron, because if they killed Baron, why would JT leave the base?
Yeah.
No.
Just keep doing it until you get a decisive fight that you can win on. I think it was right. Smashing your head into the wall, if you need to get through the wall and you don't have a hammer, your skull's pretty hard.
Yeah. And,
get through.
I mean, J-Team didn't win those team fights, right? So why not just try again? I mean, if you lose the first or the second team fight heavily and lose the Baron, you have to adapt the strategy. But Gam never lost the team fight they initiated. Either J-Team got away or Gum got a slight advantage. So they just tried it again and again, and I don't see anything wrong with that. It was very funny to look at, because it was the deja vu game, right?
The only other way I could see you playing it is, I guess, a 1-3-1 sort of thing. But you've got Kled.
Yeah.
You've got Kled and Nocturne. Might as well just 5v5 it. Might as well just hard engage.
Yep.
4-1 it at, I guess, but no, it's just.
And I think one thing we have to touch on is Zin's performance here in this game as well.
Yeah,
and Zin's overall tournament performance so far, I think Zin is playing better than he did in the VCS even. Very low kill numbers, pretty strong laning, even against people like LWX. He looked fine in lane.
Zin's looked like
Zin is performing.
The best players on.
While his supports are inching,
one of the best
sadly.
players on that team.
Yeah, which is super surprising, right? Yeah.
He's not meant to be. He's not meant to be someone you look at and go, this guy's absolutely popping off. But he's having a great tournament. Levi's looked dodgy. Still looked decent, but he's meant to look a lot better than he does. And I don't think Zeros is impressed.
I think Zeros is still playing very good. I think Zeros is playing like a world-class top laner.
Yeah, but okay, let me rephrase. I don't think Zeros has blown my mind. He's been fine. He's played.
That's fair.
I think Zeros isn't playing like a world-class top laner.
No?
I think he's playing like a top laner that's the step below. He can hang with them. He's not gonna lose lane, but he's not a world-class top laner. He's not smashing. He's not impressing.
I think the sample size is too low to have a final judgment on.
Obviously, yeah.
He played 2 games of Akali into Gangplank, and he did very well in teamfights in both of these games.
Yeah, but so far, I just think he's not the Zeros that we saw at MSI.
He's way better than at MSI. He's way better. In MSI, he ran it down. Zeros is not dying for no reason this tournament, at least.
That's true. He's tempered his aggression, which is the one part of his game that he really needed.
He's not able to get as many solo advantages right now, but I think that's...
MSI play-ins, was it?
No, I think you're thinking of Worlds last year. Worlds last year was
He's
really
not that Zeros. That Zeros was styling.
I think it's kind of due to his picks.
He's just kind of...
He just can't solo kill Akali Gangplank matchup. It's just not possible. And the last game they played against FPX, which we will move into slightly, I guess.
We're about to we'll move properly into that one. I don't think there's much more.
Cannon.
No,
He played Cannon into Renekton, one of the typical counter matchups. And he smashed Gimgoon in lane. He smashed him. He was 30 CS up. Obviously, he died to him later on in the 1v1, which kind of leaves a bad taste in the mouth, because he's not supposed to die here. But this is actually, Renekton has very weird damage windows where he can suddenly kill you. but Zeros still smashed this lane. He was almost
Zeros
40 CS up.
Zeros was very far ahead in CS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He got
he
ganked,
got
though.
solo killed.
He got solo killed once, but after his jungler into the kill away, top lane.
Yeah.
And the item timing was actually a very bad one to take a fight. So definitely a mistake from Zeros, but only one slight mistake in lane, while he played 10 minutes of very strong laning. And his jungler into the top lane. So I think this game was an impressive game for Zeros.
Zeros wasn't the problem.
No.
Until
Levi
it
was.
Until it was a point where it's like Cannon is worthless here.
Yeah, I mean Cannon is the garbage pick, but he was impressive on it.
That's not Zeros' fault. That's Cannon being not great.
So one thing I do want to say is
Levi and Kiaya were the problems.
You two are both have analytical brains. You're very smart when it comes to League of Legends. I'm just a play-by-play caster.
Mm-hmm.
Please, why the Lee Sin
Oh god.
when Kiana's open? I just want one reason that's not the word comfort. Because Levi can play Kiana. We know he can. I just want any reason because he boggles my mind.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, they had the opportunity to pick Kiana. It was first pick Nautilus on FPX's side, and then we had what was the response for? I think it was Kai'Sa, and they hovered Kiana.
Kai'Sa Lee.
Yeah, they picked Kai'Sa Lee, but they hovered Kiana, and for some reason they went with Lee instead of Kiana.
I did skip
Why?
So it was unbelievable.
I think Lee has slight kill pressure on Kiana before 6. So maybe they came in with some kind of a game plan to invade Tian repeatedly and kill him 1v1. But they didn't do it. Yeah, it was super weird to see.
Scout out and invade or anything.
But what logic is there to that? We'll take this little edge where we might be able to kill their jungler. Or you just pick a better jungler, which gives you a massive edge.
Yeah. And as you said, Levi is super great on Kiana.
I think it's like 200 IQ.
Yeah, it's a Reaper draft. It's such a Reaper draft.
It's shocking.
It is. It's absolutely shocking.
I actually don't know. I can't think of a reason.
We can only speculate, but it's very hard to come up with a reason, because I had the same reaction yesterday. I was like, why would you not get the Kiana? Kiana is the stronger champion. She's insane. And Levi is super great on her. Why?
Especially if, they hovered it, right?
Yeah, they hovered it.
They hovered it until about 2 seconds left. I was sitting there.
Something's wrong. You screwed up there. Because, I can understand it if, they didn't hover it and that, if they didn't hover it at all and it was just insta-luckily or something, it's they probably just, thought it was crossed wires and thought it was banned or something and just mistakes happen.
Yeah, that happens.
If they hover it, there's no excuse. You lock that.
There really is no excuse.
I think if you scroll up in the game discussion channel on Discord, there is a message from me that was sent while they were hovering and going, yeah, Levi Kiana, and then just 3 seconds later there's another one from me going, wait, what?
Yeah. It was such a weird draft. Once again. Please hire me to draft for Gum. Gum will get out of groups.
And, there's barely anything to say about the actual game. It was just a stop.
Yeah, it was my god. Yeah, Tian ran over Levi in this jungle matchup. He got more ganks off, even though the Lee Sin is supposed to be a stronger ganker early on. He solo killed him in the jungle. He solo killed everyone on the map multiple times. The top lane gank was probably the one thing that decided the game very early on in the game. And I have to review this a few times to know if this was more on Zeros's fault or more Levi's fault. From watching it twice, I thought it was more Levi's fault, but yeah, both messed up.
Levi had a bad.
A
Levi had
very
really
bad game.
And like
Kiaya had a terrible game.
Yeah, that's true as well.
yeah, but you more
Kiaya should
expect-
bench himself after that performance.
Unfortunately, I don't have any. Well, Yoshino.
They could play Yoshinovic.
I would rather see Yoshino than a Ignite Airy Jace that loses to Kale
Oh.
with pretty much no jungle intervention.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was pathetic. That, like, but look, the thing in my mind is that I can forgive, even though, like, obviously you don't want it to happen, I can forgive Levi having a bad game. I can forgive Kiaya having a bad game, even though that's an egregiously bad game. You know what? Sometimes you're nervous, you didn't sleep well, something dumb
It's his
happened.
first Worlds as well, right? Kiaya
Whatever.
is super young still. It's kind of understandable.
What I really can't forgive is the draft. Because nerves don't come in there. There's no nerves in a draft.
Yeah.
Champ Select's not a high-pressure situation. Just click on Kiana and hit the lock button. 2 clicks. Easy.
I have to agree.
And
Yeah.
it's like, but like the thing is, I'd love to know how much input the players had, or if it's just a coaching mistake. It's obviously, I mean, there is an element of a coaching mistake, because even if Levi's sitting there going, no, Lee Sin, the coach has to say, if you pick Lee Sin, you're fired.
I don't think anyone can
pick Lee Sin
say that to
over
Levi.
Kiana. Huey is playing
okay,
for
but
the
like,
rest of this tournament.
well, but like, in the end, if the coach says pick this champion, you pick it. You don't go against your coach.
You know,
And
every day, I don't want to say this because it's very frustrating to say, but I think the coach actually wanted the lease.
that's my point. That's my point. He should never coach again. He should be taken out back and all yelled. Just put a bullet in his head. He served his purpose.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm joking. Don't shoot the coach. You gotta make his death longer.
Oh, nice.
No, of course not. But yeah,
Yuna's their draft coach, right?
I think Tinnican does their drafts.
No. I'm not sure who's.
The other way around.
I think Yuna does most of the coaching, and Tinnikun is more of the manager, more of like a Korean head coach. But with some spicy takes and picks here and there. But I think Yuna is the premier
head
coach. Yeah. I think Yuna is the premier strategy coach.
Okay.
And I have been impressed by the drafting of Gum all season. So I'm so frustrated by their drafting this Worlds. It's as a VCS fan, it's so annoying to see Levi not put on an AP jungler.
There's a lot of frustration being in our tier of
minor
regional power.
I mean,
we're not a minor region, but we're not
yeah.
a major region.
I mean, sadly today we're definitely leaning more towards Wildcard than Dark Horse.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah. I mean, you're talking to 2 Australians who had to watch the Oceanic region.
What Oceanic region?
I mean, looking at EU's performance so far,
to be fair, Mammoth did alright.
EU pretty much is Wildcard
Way
region
better.
as well. And then we have G2.
I mean,
Yeah.
My god, Splice.
Gamers 2.
What's going on with
Gamers 2
Splice?
are going so well.
What's going on with Splice? Well,
What's going on with Humanoid?
Turning up and the players that
Yeah, it's so weird. Why is Mr. Chachi suddenly performing, but Humanoid is shitting the bed like
the
crazy?
only player that's turning up that should be turning up is Kobe.
Yep.
He's been Kobe.
He's not like
he's been Kobe.
he's gonna win you a game every so often if he gets late enough. He's not gonna lose you a game most of the time. He might have one game, but
And Norskern is getting exposed in the bot lane.
Oh god.
Not even only in the bot lane. He's just getting caught over and over and over again.
Norscarin is such an enigma to me.
Yeah.
He really is.
Like when he came into the scene, he was so hyped. Like it was like a year or so ago, and then he just sort of
fell off a cliff.
He was known as the mechanical support player who doesn't know anything about the game. He was paired up with Upset in Challenger Series, and they both by the way.
Yeah.
Credit Upset with teaching Nosgaren the game, pretty much. Nosgaren has said that as well. Not only Upset has claimed that. So Nosgaren actually agrees with Upset that Upset is
If you're a
taught
mechanical
him.
monster, if you're good at mechanics and don't know the game, why are you playing support?
Yeah, that's...
See, that's the
Why are
thing.
you carrying?
Why is your laning phase so
we have
bad?
we have a term for that in Counter-Strike. It's all aim, no brain.
Well,
That
yeah.
works in Counter-Strike because your IGL can say, stand here, point your gun that way, and click on heads. Doesn't work like League of Legends.
Especially if you're a support player,
A little
yeah.
bit more.
Indeed.
Yeah. If you're an
Maybe
AD carry, it's just
get away with it a little
sit
bit.
your ass in mid lane, farm these minions, and then when you're at
Right
6
click.
items, talk to me again.
Yeah, exactly. But as a support player, like that can't happen. But before we get too sidetracked by Nosgaren, Enigma,
Which is
then
easy.
it's very, very easy.
Yeah.
What are our hopes going into tomorrow? Tomorrow is the Group B day. So to remind everyone, we have Gum starting off the day against FPX. Then J Team takes on Splice. Gum plays again playing J Team. Then Splice and FPX, we don't care about that. Then Gum finishes the groups out against Splice, and the closer is the rematch between J Team and FunPlus, which obviously J Team's favourite is because they won the first.
So the first round robin is reversed for every group, which is interesting. So we see the first matchup last tomorrow.
So, what are your predictions going? Obviously, FPX will beat Gum. Well, that's the prediction. But what, if any, do we see a route for them to win?
So I think this schedule is actually very bad for GAM. They have to start out with the hardest game against FPX, but on the other side, if they manage to upset FPX, it could actually give them the big momentum to win the whole group, or at least get second.
Yeah.
So the first game is important, not in terms of the result, in my opinion, but in terms of the showing. If they have a close game against FPX and lose in the end, I think it's still a good sign coming into the weaker teams later on in the day. Then we face J Team, and that's super crucial, right? J Team has a very big advantage with their 2-1 now. They got the free win over FPX. No one else can get this win, probably. If everything goes to expectations. So
Not for free, no.
nah, not for free. I mean they got the win no one else can get in terms of the rock paper
No one can
scissors
rely on
thingy.
it. Yeah.
So if you discount the FPX win, by the way, all the three teams are same as in Group D, rock paper scissors against each other. So this one victory against FPX might actually carry J Team out of groups. Which is
good. Like, to be fair,
I think
you
GAM
beat
wins
FPX.
against
That's
J
good,
Team,
good,
by the way. I think they can do it again. Why not?
I think Splice loses to J Team.
Splice might lose to... I actually think this matchup is super Splice favorite if everyone turns up. But
No, sorry, I was
sadly,
asking you.
Humanoid is not performing this well. So if Humanoid still doesn't perform tomorrow, they will lose every game. Hopefully. But if Humanoid actually gets back to his LEC form, I think Splice is favorite against J Team. Because I think Splice's early game plans are stronger than J Team's. So they should actually get an advantage. And then it comes down to team fighting. And Splice is a very strong team fighting team. While a J Team is not the strongest micro team to get something like a side lane advantage or sneak Baron or something like that. So either Splice then throws again at Baron, which might happen, it's Splice, or they just win the team fights and win the game. So another interesting match. I think Group B is super hard to predict, but right now I'd probably say J Team gets out just because of their week 1 victory over FPX. I think this is actually the one game that will carry J Team out of groups.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a big performance for them. And I mean, very disappointing
But-
for GAM. This was the group they could have gotten out of.
I think the most important match is J Team versus Splice. I think the winner of that gets out.
You think Splice can get out?
But even if Splice wins,
I-
they're only
if-
tied with
I
J
think-
Team.
I think if they win that, they get out. Because I think at that point you say Fun Plus beats both, right?
Yeah.
Game,
Our
I think
assumptions
it's-
are Fun Plus going 3-0 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which might actually not happen, especially looking at the Splice rematch. I think
Oh,
Splice might be
I mean,
able to take a game of Fun Plus.
It
They
might not
stomped them in the early game.
I think
Yeah.
it's a safe assumption. It might not happen, but let's assume.
I might predict
We'll-
Splice. I'm still kind of 50-50 on that matchup, but yeah.
All right.
So, assuming Fun Plus 3-0s.
Okay.
If Splice beats J-Team, Splice only has to worry about the GAM match. Like, GAM really is super important there. GAM, I think, will beat J-Team again. Unless they pull another draft like they did against Fun Plus. Which is possible. They've had 2 really bad drafts.
Yeah, exactly.
One really bad draft and one sort of okay, you almost had it.
Yeah.
But so GAM I think is really dependent on draft. If GAM Yeah, I think it's because GAM is because GAM's kind of a coin flip on how well they draft. I think J-Team obviously has the advantage with the extra game, but I think whoever wins that one will win the group. Because if, say, both teams then beat GAM...
Yeah.
Actually, if both teams beat GAM, I think...
It's a tiebreaker.
No, if both teams... I am right. It's a tiebreaker, in which case I would then favor Splice still.
Okay.
If they... Because in that case, they would have beaten J-Team already.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
So
fair.
it's actually the group
that's
might
why
become
I think-
very messy. I can see
Yeah,
J-Team
okay.
dropping all 3 games tomorrow and ending up in a 3-way tiebreak as well.
I can also see that too, and that's what I really hope doesn't happen.
So
I hope Splice ends the first game, and then
Yeah.
I think
So-
we're pretty much safe at that point.
So because I'm sure the both of you will put your actual predictions out there. We won't bother doing that now. What we can do is all 3 of us can give a 90-50-10.
Oh yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
So just to explain how that is, you make 3 predictions. One that you think is 90% going to happen, so almost certainly.
Mhm.
Then one that's 50-50, and then one that's 10%. Might happen, but probably not. So Yulwei, if you want to start us off, because I know you've done it.
So I think
What is your 90-50-10?
So I don't want to go with 90% FPX gets first, because that's boring. So I want to go with something champion related. So let's say 90% Kiana gets through at least once tomorrow. For some weird reason.
As in to be picked? Or
Yeah.
always?
No.
I was going to say that.
If she gets through champion select, then just fire both teams. That just disqualify them for being not able to read champion names
Alright.
or something.
But yeah, 90% of the Kiana gets picked. All right.
Yeah. Then we give 50%. J-Team gets second. Is my 50% prediction.
Alright.
I think it's
Okay.
exactly 50-50 for them. And 10% Zeros hard carries the game against FPX.
And they win.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
he hard carries and then
They lose.
Oh, that's more than 10%. I think that's a 25% chance.
90%. I think there's 90% chance that 90% chance GAM doesn't win.
Doesn't win a game. All right.
No, doesn't make it out.
Oh, it doesn't make it out. Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
that's what I
Ooh.
They're not going to
Yeah,
be popular.
shocking.
That's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, it's unpopular, but it's also quite likely at this point.
But yeah, that's fair.
I think 90 is a little
50%.
high, but yeah, it's fair.
But I mean, he can't say 70.
That's true.
So, anyway.
50% chance. 50% chance GAM does take a game, does beat Splice. I think. Actually, no, 50% chance Gam beats J-Team.
Okay.
So
10% chance J-Team beats FPX. 10% chance FPX drops a game, actually. Let's say that.
wow,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
very low.
They're not. It's not likely though.
I think
Splice
I
is the
think
only
it's
one I
it's
can
more
think
likely. Yeah, I think the Splice
I-
FPX matchup alone is more than 10%.
I think it's a little bit more likely than that, but like only like 15%, because FPX has been getting steadily hotter as the tournament's going on.
I'm
and
not
I
sure I
think-
agree with that.
I
I think there are
Anyway,
two very bad
guys,
games
I've got to
and
head you
one
off
good
at the
game.
pass. I know what you're
Fair
gonna do. I got to head you off at the pass.
Fair enough.
Because that would be. But yeah, for me, 90%. A team picks a mage bot and it loses the game.
That's 100% to be honest.
Well, 90% that's going to happen. 50% that team is gum.
I like it.
That's actually what I was thinking.
So 50%
Oh, no.
that team is gum, and I'm gonna say
10%
10%.
it's Heimerdinger.
No, they'll do Heimerdinger well. They know how to play Heimer. That'd be great.
That's why it's a 10%.
And 10% Zeros picks Cannon again, and I retire from the BCS.
Oh no.
Join me in the PCS.
Yeah, I'll come join you.
It's mostly the same. It's one letter different.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's what it's going to be for me. So do you guys have any like closing thoughts or things to just want to add on to the end? We have been going for a while, so
I hope
Wrap
we
it
see
up.
more Poppy.
yeah, we didn't end up talking about Poppy Sport, even though I promised we would. But yeah, Poppy Sport, she's pretty good.
Yeah, I've been playing Poppy Sports since she was reworked.
I love her too.
It's
She's great.
so good.
It's so much fun.
such a good.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. In bot lane, people don't know what she does, so you just get massive advantages out of nowhere. It's a lot of fun.
Flash E
Yeah.
on the enemy carry is the most satisfying feeling ever.
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
It's true. But yeah, anything you guys want to say about Worlds? Just any quick comments before
Yeah,
I'm
we
actually.
sign off.
go first. You can go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're our guest, Vinny.
I'm actually not too unhappy with the LMS performance. That's
I
me
would
saying
be.
weird.
Spicy.
It's spicy, yeah. I think
I disagree. I don't think that's spicy.
I think
think it is.
overall, no, I'm talking like AHQ and
Oh right, yeah.
overall, I think they've been doing okay.
Yeah.
Certain
They only
in
won
each
one
game-
less
like, it
game
seems
than
like
NA.
Each,
It's not that bad of a performance. If you just look
yeah,
at
no,
game score.
but in certain games, like you can see who the players are that are letting the team down. But overall, I think the teams are playing fine. Like HKA has played well. It's really just been the hole in the mid lane. AHQ has been a bit worse, but again, it's still more a hole in the top lane. And then Waco did a lot in the Team Liquid game, but
Yeah, but
And their
anyway,
coach
I
Inns.
think
so overall, I think overall they're doing better than their score reflects.
I think
And
that's
I think that's
very
important to
fair
remember to realize.
Yeah,
But
I think
of course,
that's a
no one's
fair
going to
statement.
actually realize because no one actually watches the LMS games, and they're just going to be like, "Meh,
LMS, lol.
Flash Wolves rebranded."
Turkey, Turkey only other region that matters. Turkey good.
No, Turkey
Yeah, but
bad.
anyway, Turkey bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yulwei, do you have anything just quickly to say?
Yeah, looking at the name of our podcast here, tomorrow we get to decide if we're indeed a wildcard or a dark horse. So, very exciting times. Coming
So does that
into,
mean we rename after tomorrow.
I guess we'll drop one of the two. But I think
We
actually
haven't-
Gum is actually both tomorrow, which is very interesting to watch. And I think the group, even though everyone hates on this group, will be one of the most interesting groups to watch because every matchup could go either way. If it's not FPX in there, I think
This
FPX
group's
is
been more
favored.
interesting than
Yeah,
Group C
it's a
has,
very
in
interesting
my
group, and I think we'll see some cool drafts tomorrow. I still believe in Gum; they can do it. Zeros, come on, carry me. That's it.
But yeah, so that is us going to be signing off. Hope you enjoyed. It's always fun to get together with the boys, talk about some League of Legends. Vinny, your Twitter's on the screen, obviously at VinnyLMS. Thank you for joining us. Do you have any other social media to plug?
No,
just Twitter.
not really.
Yeah.
Just the Twitter. At this
Yeah,
point.
fair enough.
Don't
Follow him on
stream
Twitter.
or anything, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Flame him
Yulwei,
tomorrow if
obviously-
J-Team loses, please. All
And
get to his
flame
Twitter and
and-
flame him.
Exactly. If J-Team loses, flame him. If Gum loses, Yulwei, your Twitter's on screen as well.
Absolutely.
So the
Go for
fire
it.
can absolutely go both ways, as it can to me. I can take it, don't worry. But yeah, this is between Wildcard and Dark Horse. We've had a great time. It's always good to do this. Vinny, thank you again for joining us. Yeah, that's us done for tonight. See you guys.